Blackrosedragon is probably one of the most classically loved monsters in the Yu-Gi-Oh! Trading card game. It combines the beauty and elegance of a rose with the terrible power of a dragon. But when I played Yu-Gi-Oh! I always found it strange that Blackrosedragon was a fire attribute monster. Roses and flames don't seem to go together, at all. But then I realized something important about Blackrosedragon. Its entire purpose is transformation. When Blackrosedragon is summoned, its special ability allows it to destroy every card on the field, including itself. It's about making room for change. Blackrosedragon is played by the character Akiza Izinski in the Yu-Gi-Oh! 5D's anime. She's so powerful, the cards she plays with literally come to life, doing real damage in her duels. And Akiza, to me, is very similar to Jean Grey in X-Men. They're both psychics with telekinesis and embody an incredible chaotic power without restraint. The only way they ground themselves is through the consolation and guidance of a masculine authority, quite often manipulating them to use their power for their own advantage and selfish ends. Jean Grey especially is appropriately called the Phoenix because she is a character that occupies pure transformation. Blackrosedragon is a fire attribute the same way the phoenix bursts into flames, only to be reborn again as something new. The philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche believed that most people try to turn life into something fixed and stable, whether it be a fixed morality, a fixed truth, a fixed identity, or a fixed purpose. But Nietzsche thought life itself was never stable. Reality is made up of change and transformation, and when people try to freeze themselves into permanent identities, they begin to suffocate life itself. And in many ways, I believe Blackrosedragon embodies Nietzsche's philosophy of becoming and vitality. Not only does Blackrosedragon resemble a phoenix rising from the ashes, but Akiza plays a plant deck that revolves around burn damage, which is a strategy in Yu-Gi-Oh! That relies on monster effects to reduce the opponent's life points to 0. Plants embody becoming because they continuously adapt, grow, decay with the cycle of the seasons. They are one of the clearest images of life as transformation, but Akiza's deck especially exaggerates transformation when many of her combos revolve around plant-type monsters, bursting into flames and being planted all over again. And while Akiza clearly symbolizes transformation, it becomes much more obvious based on the different people she duels against. For example, the first time we see Akiza duel, it's against Sir Randsborg, who dresses like a medieval knight and speaks in a theatrical Old English accent, as though he's acting in a Shakespeare play.
Good people of New Domino, thou shalt knowest my blade and my deck from the attacks thee shall witness.
He duels as if the world were a simple morality tale, heroes against monsters, good against evil. His deck is made up literally of warriors, while he frames Akiza as a witch whose dragon must be slain.
But ere witch shall pay.
Be careful who you call a witch.
But Akiza overwhelms him because Blackrosedragon and Akiza don't fit neatly into the roles he created for them. Randsborg treats the duel like a scripted performance with fixed identities, while Akiza represents something far more unstable. In the second duel, she faces a much more difficult opponent, Commander Koda, who specializes in researching and profiling people before dueling them. He defeats his opponents by learning everything there is to know about them, by building a deck that accounts for all their card combos and strategies. Instead of reducing her to an evil witch, he accurately describes her as a psychic with telekinesis.
This girl is no witch, she has the power of telekinesis, which means she can move objects with her mind.
Which demonstrates the depth of understanding Sir Randsborg did not. But despite this, he still ultimately failed. After predicting that Blackrosedragon would destroy all cards on the field, Koda believed he had already secured victory. But that exact moment became the reason he lost, because Akiza responded with an entirely new card of her own that wasn't from her past, but from who she was in the present.
A nice spell, but I still have my trap card, Rose Curse! You spent so much time studying my past that you never even stopped to look at the person I've become. And because of that, your life points are now going to suffer for your narrow-mindedness. My Rose Curse is a new card, one you could never profile.
But the duel that truly captures blackrosedragon's Nietzschean becoming is against Misty Tredwell, because Misty's strategy and symbolism runs entirely counter to Akiza's. First, Misty's deck revolves around a specific archetype called reptilians, which emphasize a strategy of reducing attack power to 0. Symbolically, this is supposed to represent the Medusa myth, where a person is turned to stone when they look into the Gorgon's eyes, the way prehistoric people froze with fear when they saw a snake or a reptile. And in one of these duels against Misty, Akiza's blackrosedragon is literally turned to stone after fighting against reptilian Gorgon. Instead of blackrosedragon destroying the field, it is rendered as another fixed object stuck in time. What's also interesting about Misty is that she is a supermodel, and supermodels make a living by perfecting their bodies, sculpting themselves like marble for the gaze of other people, essentially freezing themselves in time, especially for photo shoots, because in order to take a photo, you have to stop in motion. It's a flashy and structured beauty, rather than the natural or transformative beauty you find in a rose or a phoenix. The duels against Misty can feel slow and lifeless, because her strategy really does create a sense of being petrified or locked down. In the first duel, Misty spends a long turn playing literally 4 different spell cards, only to finish the turn leaving things relatively the same. After attacking, neither monster was destroyed. Her turn felt like a whole lot of nothing. The only major difference, or the biggest move, was that blackrosedragon was turned to stone, which only reinforces the idea of being locked down. Only during Akiza's turn was blackrosedragon destroyed, but only destroyed on Misty's terms in a controlled manner. In the second duel, Misty set up a strategy where both players weren't able to draw any new cards or summon any monsters. During Akiza's turn, all she was able to really do was play 1 trap card face down. When it was Misty's turn again, Misty didn't do much either. All she did was attack with Reptilian Servant, which only had 100 attack points. So if you do the math, it would take literally 39 more turns for Misty to defeat Akiza. It's like the game ground to a kind of halt. Not to mention, this duel took place in a hall of mirrors, with a constant sense of being watched and gazed upon. Misty spent the duel trying to frame and accuse Akiza of a wrongdoing, trapping Akiza into a fixed identity, literally and metaphorically. Because of Akiza's power, she is constantly called a witch, a monster, or a freak, especially when she's dueling.
How did you do that to me, Akiza? What's wrong with you, you monster? But ere witch shall pay.
That thing is dangerous.
You've caused nothing but destruction and pain, including my own. You don't care who your power hurts.
Or is that just classic Akiza? You don't know or care who you hurt with your power.
It shows that real transformation is difficult because it frightens people and makes them uncomfortable. People's initial reaction to blackrosedragon is almost to become literally petrified, to lock the world into easily definable categories of good and bad, where there's a clear villain to defeat and destroy.
Look at me, I'm Akiza the telekinetic.
Well, guess what? It's time for justice.
I play my face-down trap card, crime and punishment.
The reason why Misty dueled Akiza in the first place is because she thought Akiza's power led to her brother's death.
Misty chose to believe what she wanted to believe. She wanted an answer, any answer. And in the end, the answer she chose to believe was that Akiza was to blame. And Akiza's troubled past made her the perfect scapegoat.
This was most clearly symbolized with Misty's monster, Dragon Queen of Tragic Endings.
I activate the Sorrowful Chain Trap card. Since sorrowful memories, unwavering truth, and atrocious day are all gathered on my field as well, my sad little story is now complete. And I now have the power to summon Dragon Queen of Tragic Endings.
I think Nietzsche would say to someone like Misty, the snake which cannot cast its skin has to perish. In both duels, when Akiza summoned blackrosedragon, it was relieving instead of uncomfortable, because blackrosedragon blew up a field that already felt dead and lifeless. In past duels, blackrosedragon almost seemed too powerful, too overwhelming, but against Misty, blackrosedragon is exactly what is necessary for new life and vitality to make the game flow again. That's why blackrosedragon is such a Nietzschean monster. It doesn't preserve the field, it annihilates it, even itself, because transformation requires the old world to burn away. Becoming means refusing to let the past become your prison.